Good afternoon, everyone. It is July 16th, 2023. Now, let's get into what we had last week, and then we can get into what I'm looking for in the week coming. Now, last week, what I'd mentioned was that I didn't have a huge bias. I wanted to see what was happening right around that 44.65 area and to assess the upside downside strength, and then 43.85 to the downside was where I was looking to the lows if we'd get a liquidation break. Now, obviously, we did not get a liquidation break. The external trading hours on Sunday, Monday were able to break last week's low. The RTH low came in at 44.25s, and then we started to ramp upwards, actually creating a gap on that Wednesday session up above these key 44.80s to 95 area, the highs of the first half of the year and our current high of the year, or current high of the month. So we gapped up above there, back tested it, held that first half of the year's high at 98, and we continued to ramp upwards. We were unable to get into the gap close around whatever that is, 78 to 73, somewhere around there. Instead, we continued to ramp upwards and just kept climbing. Same thing on the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq was able to at least break last week's low. We're able to break last week's low, but same thing essentially, that it was a little bit weaker getting over the kind of 260 area, where I was trying to assess strength, like I'd mentioned in the outlook. Broke last week's low a couple times, I think 3 or 4 times, but eventually managed to ramp up, back tested off that 342 yearly value area high, 95%, and then continued to move upwards. So both tickers undeniably bullish for now. The ES especially, you can really see this quite clearly on a daily chart. Every single day making higher lows, higher highs, unable to take out a prior day's low for numerous days now. Now that may change. We're getting right to the tip of this trend line, and this was a smaller session, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we come down now. So with that in mind, what am I looking for this week? Well, you'll notice a big fat target that I'm looking for. And that is based off of this over here. I think Spot Gamma posted this. Essentially, April OPEX sold off. May OPEX sold off. June OPEX sold off. It's been a ramp into the options expiry and then down. Ramp into the expiry and then down. So what I'll be looking for this week is a ramp into the options expiry, which is this Friday. No other major news this week. You can see it there in the top left box. Nothing major. So what I'll be looking for this week is I would like to see us break this backfill we had, come back inside of the first half of the year's highs at 98, right there. I'd like to see us come inside here, come down to that key 85 level, come below that as well, close this gap here at 78 or the bid at 73, trap some shorts, and then rip back upwards for that 46.02 target. Now, the half back from this past week and the weekly VWAP close are sitting between 92 and 97, right around there. So kind of right around here, these highs. So what I'd like to see us, and notably, sorry, I forgot to include this, both the ES and NQ did not have a shift up in their volume, in the weekly volume. So until we get, and this is why I mentioned this over here, until we get a lot of volume occurring here and then a move below, let's call it about 65 or so, 65, 70, somewhere around here. If we get a move below, let's call it 65, and we've done volume up above, I'll be hesitant on taking longs until we can clear 85 to 98 again. The idea being that we may have had distribution at the highs and the sell-off may be coming a little bit early, and then we would have a liquidation scenario breaking this RTH low of the week, this RTH low of the week, and getting into this 43.85 where we held bid a couple times, bid, flush below, tried to liquidate, failed to, trap the shorts, and then ripped upwards. This is my next key level down here, and this is the first half of the year's VWAP trailing currently right now, 43.92 quarter. So that is the bear scenario, is that we build volume, break about 43.65, and then we start flushing downwards. But, however, what I would like to see instead is something like this, where we come down to whatever it is, 43.70s-ish, close that gap, make our way upwards, and then we can start getting into that 46.02 by the end of the week. That's what I'll be looking for in general. Now, on the Nasdaq, Not too dissimilar. I'm less familiar with the numbers, and I do not have an upside target on the Nasdaq. Additionally, there's a big void here between about 15,500 to 15,700, in my opinion. There's nothing really that I want to lean on in here. So this kind of strengthens my idea as a whole that we can have the S&Ps come down and backfill off that gap close. Same thing. I think we can come down and backfill off of down to at least 444s. But we do have that gap going down to about 280, and that's why this is such a fat pivot zone. Because we have a gap, because this 230 area has been critical resistance, so it has to be wide. It's a little bit unclean. I know it is. So on the Nasdaq, I'd be willing to let this thing come down to at least 444s is the weekly VWAP close. I'd have no problem this thing coming down to there. 444 and a quarter. At level. That's the minimum I'd want to see this come down to. But I would be unfazed if we came down and closed the gap at 278s. And then once again, just like on the ES, I would be looking for us to come down to here, trap the shorts, and then rebound upwards. Same thing. I would be totally fine with this thing coming down, getting a small bid here, coming further down somewhere like this, and then trapping the shorts, and then getting our move upwards into the end of the week. So that's what I'm looking for. And similar story. If we build volume up above, and then we break about 230 or so, I think you're in a liquidation scenario. Break all these weekly lows, all this crap. You break all this, you liquidate down to 15,000, where we trapped the shorts last time, just like that 43.85 spot. Same thing around here at 14,950 to 15K, and you get further liquidation again, down to whatever, the contract gap here. Same thing on the ES. You'd have your first liquidation of 43.85s and the second one down to about 43.03, filling that contract gap. So that's what I'm looking for. I don't think you get all of this crazy downside scenario this week. That'd be insane. I am leaning long. This is my target, 46.02. I don't have an upside target on the Nasdaq. 16K sounds nice. If we went to the big chart, you can see right here, we are now in this balance here, where we had the September 2021 sell-off, where we held bids, and then where we churned around before selling off. We're back there. We're back inside this balance. So I want to see what happens, roughly at the halfback of that balance. Something like that. We're getting close. About 16K is where I'm looking for. Anyway, hope that makes sense. Hope that helps. I have to find some more levels, as you can see. Find more daily levels, find more weekly levels above the 16K number. So I'm hoping we don't rock it up tomorrow. But in general, I'm looking for 46.02 after a sell-off to at least, at minimum, 44.97-ish. And on the NQ, at least down to 15,444 quarter. That's what I'm looking for. And then get our ramp. We'll see how it plays out. Updates to this will be posted during the week. 9-minute video. Sorry about that. Have a great night. Trade safe.